everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Lauren's Take. Okay, so I'm actually filming this video a lot earlier than I usually do because I have a week off for school. So this week I may put out 2 videos instead of 1. That is the plan. Today is Monday, so maybe I'm probably going to put this out tomorrow. So you will see this on a Tuesday, but that is the plan. The review video. Another review video on a book, actually, this time. The second book that I'm reading that I've read this year or finished this year, which is Six Crimson Cranes by Elizabeth Lim. So, as you guys know, if you watched my my Christmas book haul video, this is one of the books that I received for Christmas. As I told you in that video, I started reading it last year since I was reading it through the library and school started. I hadn't had enough time to finish it, so I asked for it for Christmas so I could finish it, and I finally finished it yesterday. So I wanted to make sure to get you guys a review pretty fresh in my mind when everything's still fresh in my mind, hence why I'm filming today and you're getting the video earlier than you usually would. And my new process and scheduling of videos for the channel so I can give you guys more content and consistent content. But we're going to get into this, but before we do, please make sure to subscribe to the channel if you are not subscribed already, and let's get into it. Okay, take 2 of this part. So as usual, I'm going to read the actual synopsis from the book. So it's accurate and it's not long like my summaries tend to be, so let's get into it. Shiori Anma, the only princess of Kyoto, has a secret. Forbidden magic runs through her veins. Normally she conceals it well, but on the morning of her betrothal ceremony, Shiori loses control. At first her mistake seems like a stroke of luck, forestalling the wedding she never wanted, but it also catches the intention of Raikama, her stepmother. The sorceress in her own right, Raikama banishes the young princess, turning her brothers into cranes. She warns Shiori that she must speak of it to no one, for with every word that escapes her lips, one of her brothers will die. Penniless, voiceless, and alone, Shiori searches for her brothers and uncovers a dark conspiracy to seize the throne. Only Shiori can set the kingdom to rights, but to do so she must place her trust in a paper bird, a mercurial dragon, and the very boy she fought so hard not to marry. And she must embrace the magic she's been taught all her life to forswear, no matter what the cost. Okay, so that is a very good summary of the book, exactly what the book is about. And you know, I'm just going to go jump right into the review. I think overall I enjoyed this book. It took me a little longer to read it. I've been reading this since I think a couple days after I finished A Psalm of Storms and Silence, so it took me a little over a week to finish from the point that I was already at. I was already, I think, like 85 pages in, I believe. So I had already kind of gotten through, you know, Shiori and her brother's whole situation, her brothers being turned into cranes, and Shiori having a bowl on her head. That doesn't mention it, but she has a bowl on her head for the whole time, which is actually a shield, which we find out, but and it's also you know, her not being able to talk. Like, she can talk, but if she talks, of course one of her brothers will die. And this is actually based off of the fairy tale The Six Swans, or loosely based off of it, of course. But with that, I was like really intrigued by that. When I first, okay, I'm that person who like really saw the cover, or no, I think I had heard about it when I was looking at all the books coming out last year, and so this one was coming out. I was like, ooh, that looks interesting. And it was definitely because I saw the cover and I was like, ooh, fantasy. That looks fun. So that's how I picked it up and was like, oh, let me check this out. And I'm glad that I did, because I really enjoyed this story. I enjoyed how it did have that fairy tale aspect, but it also had a fantasy, you know, well, fairy tales are fantasy, but anyway, you get what I'm saying, in the sense that I really enjoyed that whole kind of the retelling of the story, because of course the original fairy tale is with swans, this is with cranes, and the whole storyline with the cranes, it connected so well, or it connected well with Shiori's story herself, and so Shiori as a character, as a main character, I think, you know, she was interesting. She was annoying at times. But I mean, a lot of main characters in fantasy novels tend to be. It's just because they make dumb decisions a lot of the time. But, you know, she finally gets to a point, of course, she fixes that. She gets over it, and it's good. But she's very stubborn. but I don't mind her stubbornness because she's in a really bad place because her stepmother, Raikama, Raikama, I don't know. I don't know how to properly pronounce it, and I apologize if I'm pronouncing things correctly. Names incorrectly. But anyway, the whole thing is she's just really hurt and feels like she's betrayed as well because, Raikama was her stepmother and she loved her stepmother. Everyone else hated her stepmother, but she loved her stepmother. She thought she was a wonderful, beautiful, awesome person. And then, she does all this and she ends up, her stepmother ends up being a sorceress, a snake at that, or a serpent at that. And she's like, oh my gosh, she has the dragon pearl, which is something no human is supposed to have, especially because dragons and humans do not have a really good relationship. I'm saying a lot of random stuff. But as the summary mentioned, there is a dragon, and the dragon that Shiori herself has contact with is Seiryu. And Seiryu is actually the favorite grandson of the Dragon King. And so they meet on a whim. Actually, no, this wasn't when she was running away, but she met him at a certain time, and he was actually helping her learn magic because she acknowledged that she had magic, and he was like, you wouldn't be able to talk to me. I forgot. See, this was the part that I read a long time ago and I don't remember, but I do remember that. And so Seiryu is kind of like he helps her in different ways. And then she has her paper crane, Kiki, who is, that she actually brought to life with her magic. Her magic is special in a way that it can, bring inanimate objects or inanimate things or whatever, or things that aren't living to life. And so Kiki was one of the only things that could do it for a long period of time. So, Kiki's very special to her. Kiki's like her little sidekick, her little animal sidekick, if you will, that she kind of created on her own. And Kiki kind of stays with her the whole time. It's kind of like her voice in a way to her brothers when she finds them. Because she still can't talk. But yeah, so she was really, she was betrayed by her stepmother. She just doesn't know who to trust. She's mad at herself. She's upset, whatever. So then she goes to Tianyu village and, kind of has to go along with, being with this random person who is just telling her, what was her name? It was like, keeping, Shiori giving her food and everything by making her work in her restaurant and all that. And then one day when Shiori's really getting tired of it, this sentinel comes and she's like, who is this guy? And he's a really nice guy. At first, Shiori's like not really trying to talk to him, but he's like trying to get to know her and everything. And, Shiori's like, oh, he's someone I could trust. Let me steal from him. And so she tries to steal from him. He catches her, but it's all good. And, he's like, oh, what's your name again? Isn't it Lena? And he was like, can you tell me what it is? And when she tries to tell him what it is, she is kind of stopped. She can't do it because of the curse that has been put upon her and her brothers. But anyway, yeah, kind of chaos, but we're going to move on. And, so she is basically just trying to figure out, how do we do this? Like, how do we solve it? And all that. Or how does she tell this guy that can help her how to help her? But he gives her a silver makan to be able to, leave and, be able to afford to leave and go somewhere. And so that's the good part. So she's able to do that. And so she's like, oh, but she never catches the guy's name. Okay. So she thinks he's a sentinel. And then his cousin comes. But then she thinks the cousin is actually her betrothed, right? So, yeah, she's just like, oh, I don't know. Ugh, I would have had to marry this guy. Oh my gosh. And, yeah, it was bad. It was bad because we're just saying Takan. So she thinks that the cousin is Takan. But eventually she leaves Tianyu village and then she finds herself at a castle, her betrothed's castle in Iro. And the prince is missing, and the prince had been in the village, and they had all found her because she was actually trying to find her brothers and everything, but then she got caught by the cousin who was annoying, Hasuge, and he was annoying and all that good stuff, and Anyway, they bring her back to the castle, and that's how we got to the castle. And then, yeah, so she finds, they're like, oh, we can't find the prince. And then they're like, did you have something to do with it? And she was like, no, he helped me. Well, I mean, she didn't say that, but that's basically what she was saying. And a lot of, the people who have been working with Tikan, he was like, oh yeah, I'm pretty sure this is the girl he was describing when he met at the restaurant. So then she's like, wait, what? So then we find out later on, Tikan comes back, but he's almost like killed, but he's okay. She saves him, helps to save him, as does Pal, his other helper and sentinel. And we find out that Tikan is the sentinel that she met in the restaurant who gave her the silver macan. And she was like, oh my gosh, all this time, he's so sweet. But then she's like, but I'm not going to fall in love with him. But of course she does eventually. And yeah, so that was, again, the long synopsis that I told you I don't try to do. But I had to give you context. So anyway, they're together, hanging out, all that. Tikan is the only one that takes her seriously, as well as Magari, Tikan's little sister. And they, Lady Buxian, their mother, she's kind of like, I don't know. I don't know if we can trust this girl. And everyone is calling Shiori a demon because of the helmet on her head. And as you heard, this is also a situation you're not supposed to use magic. So she already is in that situation in which she can use magic. She doesn't know what to do with the magic. But she also has to try to figure out how to break the curse on her brother and her, and herself. And, if you hear that random noise, it's my father going to the store. It's the garage. My room's right over the garage. But anyway, so yeah, that is the whole situation. Okay, so she's trying to figure out how to solve it, and they found out the way to solve it is they have to take Starstroke, which is this really painful, really interesting enchanted plant, and basically deconstruct it and then construct it into a Starstroke net that's used to protect them, as well as to say their stepmother's actual name, because the name that we know, Raikama, is not actually her name. Or Raikama. I think it's probably that than Raikama, because that just sounds really messy. So it's probably Raikama. But anyway, so that's basically what Shiori's job is, when she gets separated from her brothers, to do that. And she gets that from Kiki, because Kiki finds her brothers, and then they told her to do that, or she figured it out. So yeah. But, during the whole course of her trying to do that, she has to be secret, because of course no one can know. And all the while as she's trying to, sew it, drink, get something to eat, take care of herself, she is getting to know Tikan, and she's getting to know Magari, and they both really love her. They think she's great. And, a little love situation between her and Tikan, and it's great. And she's like, oh my gosh, I don't know. And then Seiryu, our dude Seiryu, our dragon, is also like a teenage boy, like she is a teenage girl. He is also kind of liking her. There's little hints about it. And since this is a series, I'm interested to see if there's anything else going to happen with Shiori and Seiryu, because, in the end, I'll get to that in a second. But yeah, so that's basically what she's trying to do. And then, of course, things go crazy. Zarina, the girl who's been in the court the whole time, who's been really shady to Shiori the entire time. And, like, everyone's like, why do you hate her so much and everything? And then she's like, I don't really hate her. She's just, I don't trust her. She ends up being the one, of course, no one can trust. She's the one who, causes a lot of the problems in the end. And, she ends up turning out to be one of Shiori's nursemaids, or just maidens, from when she was home. And so she's a problem. And then Hasuke, of course, is in on it as well. And, it's just an ongoing, fiasco. Kind of predictable. I kind of knew it was her, because she was, of course, the messy one who's just a lot. She's annoying. She's extra. And she ends up dying. She gets killed in the whole situation. But the wolf is really, I'm all over the place, but the wolf is the really bad, demon evil guy, who's been causing all of this craziness, who's the one that we end up finding out. And Shiori, I forgot exactly how she figured it out, but she was starting to think maybe Raikama is trying to help me and not trying to kill me, or not trying to hurt me and my brothers, because all this time it doesn't seem like she personally would have done it. And because they found out that Lord Yuji, another antagonist, was actually having points, was trying to have someone killed, and they found out it was the princess, all in order to get Shiori's father's place on the throne. So yeah, I should have said that first, but yes, that's the whole point. But yeah, so like, that's the plot, and of course they solve it. They find Raikama is actually not as problematic, or the villain. She's the one who's actually been trying to help them and whatever, but she still ends up dying, because of course you have to have the good one die, in the end, and everything like that. And it's sad, but Shiori grows. She matures and everything. Her brothers, they're kind of there, they're kind of not there. But yeah, I mean, it ended up being pretty good, I guess. I think I had to, like, explain, because I will say, though I enjoyed this book, there were times I was very confused, because things were just kind of, I don't know, it got kind of boring at times. There were times where I was just kind of like, what's happening really right here? And, it is what it is. I think it's just a situation in which you kind of have to get through it, It wasn't too long. It was 454 pages. So not too long for a fantasy novel. About appropriate length, because a lot of the fantasy novels that I've been reading lately have been like over 500 something pages, so not horrible compared to that. But I enjoyed the characters. Shiori, I told you, she kind of annoyed me at different times, but what main character doesn't at times? And I think she grew. Takan, he was probably my favorite character, him and Magari, his sister, because they just were not problematic. And Takan, like, they were solving everything, and Takan had her back, even when he found out that she was Shiori, and even when, all that stuff happened and whatnot. I think it was kind of, like, interesting, though, because, like, I really enjoyed that aspect of him, but I had pause, because majority of the time, it's not necessarily realistic for him to not be okay with, I don't know, because I guess she genuinely couldn't tell him, and he knew that she couldn't tell him, and he never really pushed. I guess he's just a really understanding guy. I think I'm so used to guys having some type of problem with them in these books that I'm just kind of like, wait, he was actually not a bad guy. He was a sweet guy the entire time. Yeah, I can't say anything bad about Takan. And I love all his dudes helping him, his sentinels. And Magari, she was such a sweetheart, and she never thought Shiori was wrong. So I appreciated them. A lot of times we don't get those characters. There's always, of course, the character directly helping the main character. But I think it was really great that they always had her back. It was great. So yeah, everything gets solved. Raikama, even in, though they figure it out and they solve it and know that she's trying to help him, she has to end up dying in order to fix what has gone wrong. All of Kyoto is now, yeah, I'm right? I think, Kyoto. Yeah, I was right. All of Kyoto, or at least the people in Shiori's kingdom, are put to sleep by Raikama, and, yeah. So that's kind of like Sleeping Beauty, too, in a sense. Everyone has to sleep for this long, till spring, Anyway, yeah, I think it was good. I feel like I'm leaving out a lot, but if I go more, I would give even more description. But, I mean, it was good. I don't know if I like the ending, necessarily, because it felt to me, even though I was very confused in the end. I will say that. I was very confused in the end. It was just kind of going on. I think I was ready for it to end, and it just kept going. So that kind of it was getting frustrated. I was just trying to hurry up and finish it, I think. Because it was just going on and on, because it was only like 20 pages left, and she was still putting stuff in it. I was like, oh my gosh, no. So that kind of got it annoying. And in the end, even though you think they solved everything, they obviously didn't, because now there's going to be a whole sequel. And I was like, I don't know if we needed a sequel. And I usually am that person who's like so for the sequel, but because so much have been, concluded, and so much have been, tied together and everything, I'm just kind of like, is there going to be a sequel? Because I don't think you need a sequel with how you finished it. Like, it ended on a slight cliffhanger, but like, I'm still like, I don't really care at this point, necessarily. That's just how I felt by the end of it. I think everything was tied up together and everything. I was sad, Shiori and Takan didn't kiss. I felt like they needed to. I felt like all they've been through together, every time they were trying to kiss, it was interrupted. So, of course, my little romantic self was upset. I was like, darn it. But anyway, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I really feel about it. But yeah. Okay, so this is almost 20 minutes. So I'm going to give this, on Goodreads, I gave it 4 stars. I think 4 stars is appropriate. The reason it's not 5 is because there were many moments where they were slow. I did not like the ending. I don't know if it really made sense, because to me everything was figured out, and maybe I missed something, but I got confused a lot in the book. There were, yeah. I mean, a lot of it was predictable. I figured out that, Raikama wasn't going to be messy. I figured out that Irina was going to be messy. Like, a lot of things that I figured out, a lot of things that I thought happened. So, sometimes when it's so predictable, you're kind of like, but I liked it enough to still give it 4 stars. Because, yeah, I really like the characters. I will say I love the characters. I love the land that was created with this. I like the fact that it was loosely based off of a regular fairy tale, 6 swans. Yeah, I mean it wasn't horrible. I didn't not like it. I enjoyed it. 4 stars acknowledges that I enjoyed it. It could have been better, but maybe if there is a sequel, it's good. I hope. I will read it. I will definitely read it. But yeah, it could have been better. Cause some things could have been tied up a little better. Some things could have some of it could have we could have gone without. Just kind of to, change it up a bit. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. So yeah. Okay, people. All right. So that concludes this video. I apologize for it being so long, but I had to explain some things because some of it is lost, and I had to explain it to help me get to a review situation. This is one of my bad reviews. I apologize, but I feel like that's the point. But anyway, that is the end of this video. Please give this video a big thumbs up. Don't give it a thumbs down. That's just rude. Also, subscribe if you're not subscribed already. And I shall see you in the next one. Make sure that you mask up, social distance, be kind to people, don't be messy. And, yeah, take care of yourselves and each other, as Lester Holt says. And I will see you in the next one. Okay, bye.